Hi, welcome to my webinar for people interested in coaching with me or learning more about my program, The Feminar, which is a 7-week program bringing women together from all over the world. I'm really glad that you're here. Some of you who registered are friends of my clients. Some are former clients. Some are people who are completely new, who have never worked with me before, just interested to see what this is all about. And it's this diversity that's at the heart of my teaching. So whoever you are welcome here. In this hour, what I'm going to do is give you sort of an appetizer platter of the work I do with women from all over the world. At the end, I'll invite you to apply for a free individual coaching session with me, and we can dive more deeply into any issues that come up for you here today. So stick around for that invitation at the end. And before we get started, if you don't have your journal with you, go ahead and grab that or something to write with. And if you just joined us, you can go ahead and mute yourself for now so that the audio is better as we keep going. Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you all for being here today. I'm really happy to have you here. And if you just joined, I basically just said, welcome. So I'm going to switch now from the screen that you see so that you can actually see me. I think that you'll enjoy that more. Okay. All right. Good. If you are on the phone, then you don't have to worry about the video. If you would like at any point to, you can ask in the chat. There's a chat down at the bottom if you're on the web, and you can ask to be unmuted if you have any questions or would like to talk to me. And we'll have a chance for that at the end as well. Okay, so what am I offering in this next hour to you? I am offering you 3 things. I will teach you to create, activate, and intergenerate. So briefly what this means is that you'll learn how to use writing to create the life and the work that you really want. And we're actually going to do a little bit of that today. How to activate your desires in ways that are healthy and gentle. Often people who are creative and are creating in their life also have a desire to make the world a better place or to sacrifice themselves for their friends or their family. So we're going to get a little bit into how to do these kinds of humanitarian things while also taking care of ourselves. And then thirdly, we will learn how to intergenerate and connect with others who can be your tribe and help support you and also help support your work. One of the things that I find with many of the women clients that I work with is that they basically have the creating down. They journal, they think of themselves as creative people, they're happy with that part of their lives, although they'd like to go a bit deeper. They feel connected somewhat to community, and they try to take care of themselves, but again, they could work on that a little more. And then the third part, connecting with others to be your tribe and help support you and your work. This is the part where, you know, if we're in a road race, we're in the final mile and we start to fall down. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today as well. So I want to start with a poem from my book called This Is How Honey Runs. I wrote this book of poetry with the women clients that I work with. I wrote each poem specifically for a woman who was struggling with something. And this poem is called Creating. It's the first poem. And so I want to start with it because I think there's a kind of funny turn at the end, and I think many of you will be able to identify with it. Creating. I ride a red horse, but sit backwards. I watch a bluebird land on the ground. I hail a pirate who is leaving. I wear snakeskin. I am shedding. The teacher said, all growth is letting go. Wisdom is gained in losing. This I can do. This I know. I've won awards for losing. So the first thing that we have to begin to face as women who have a desire to create is that this desire is very deep, and perhaps it just started in childhood. Maybe you drew, maybe you wrote, maybe you put on plays with friends or built fairy houses in the backyard. But as we start to grow and become adult women, we begin, even when we don't want to incorporate society's ideas about what we should be. And these do not always come from who we really want to be. Maybe we find ourselves in situations, it could be geographical, it could be relational, it could be economic, that necessitate that we are in jobs or roles that don't really fit us. And so the poem speaks to this. This poem speaks to the fact that the first step in creating is acknowledging the loss, acknowledging what hasn't happened, acknowledging the fact that maybe some of your dreams haven't come true in the past. Maybe you thought you'd be in a different position than you are right now at this stage in your life. I also found myself in that position. I was born to an academic family, and I went into academia as a way of fully making my desires to create legitimate. But I found that the externally focused and competitive nature of the university setting was stifling. I was not being honored for my gifts fully. So I want you to take a deep breath in now and just kind of quietly, internally ask yourself, what gifts in you are not being honored? And we'll turn to our journals now to explore this a little bit in writing. In my individual coaching and also in workshops like this and in my group teaching, I never ask you to share your journaling. The reason for this is that I want you to be able to create a safe space between your hand, the pen, the page, your belly, and your heart. In that sacred circle, you can begin to tell the real truth to yourself. Often as women, we live from the head up. We are very good at intuiting and knowing how others are reacting to what we're saying, and we can find ourselves editing and criticizing our thoughts and words and actions even before they start to come out of our mouths. So journaling in this safe, sacred way is a way for you to begin to trust yourself again and tell the truth to yourself. So what we're going to do is we're going to write about each prompt just for 1 minute. This is another strategy that I teach. Sometimes time journaling can be very helpful because we want to dive in our journaling, but we're afraid sometimes that it will be more of a tsunami than a puddle, and we'll get into issues that will overwhelm us. So timed journaling can allow you to dive deep, trust yourself to tell the truth, knowing that you'll come back up in a very short time. It's putting boundaries around your work so that you feel safe. So we'll write for 1 minute in response to 4 prompts. The first prompt is, I am good at. Just list what you're good at. It could be in a sentence or in a list, whichever you prefer. And finish the phrase that you're writing now. I always think it's kind of a revelation to journal like that for 1 minute, because you can surprise yourself at how deep you can go in just 1 minute. We'll go to the second prompt now. And again, just remember that I won't ask you to share this with me or the group, so you can tell the truth to yourself. I am happy when I am happy when I. And then finish the phrase that you're working on now. The next prompt may uncover something that you haven't looked at in a while. I wish I could. I wish I could. Good. And then go ahead and finish that phrase. And then we'll do 1 more minute on the last prompt. I am proud of myself for. I'm proud of myself for. Good. And then finish the phrase that you're working on there. So this is the type of activity that we do in my individual coaching and also in my 7-week class called the Feminar. I teach you to honor your gifts and create what you've been longing to create. First, by going into the sacred circle between the hand, the pen, the page, the belly, and the heart. In the Feminar, we actually meet twice a week for journaling sessions so that you can uncover your creative dreams and begin to pursue them with the support of a coach and other women from around the world. As a writer, I've published 13 books and hundreds of individual poems, essays, short stories. And as a coach, I've helped many women unlock their writing blocks and learn to create lives of juiciness and joy. But I also know the fears that hold you back. I know the incredible energy that's unleashed when you get the support you need to move through those fears and begin to create what you long to create. So now we're going to do a very springtime activity. I want you to imagine that in your hand are the seeds of your creativity. And I want you to list 10 things that you would like to create in your life. They could be things, they could be feelings, they could be experiences, they could be products. Let's do a list of 10 things. I won't time you. What I'll do is kind of look up at the women who are on video, and when they're ready, we'll move on. So those of you who are on video, you'll kind of be our collective timer. Okay, so 10 things. It could be things that you've wanted for a long time. It could be things that just occurred to you right now. Okay, wonderful. I love how we're all in sync from all over. At the end of the webinar, I'll turn the recording off so that we can chat and get to know each other, and so that won't be shared with the public and strangers out there. But it's wonderful to see your faces. What I want us to do now is to literally leave that list for a minute. This is something that I've learned as a writing coach over the years. Sometimes when we write something and we feel finished, maybe with the first draft, that sort of thing, we can read it over right away and then start to tinker. When we do this, what we do is we're switching from the creative right brain into the critical left brain. The left brain is wonderful. It judges, it categorizes, it allows us to have logic, understand sequence, first, second, third. But when we move to that editing process too soon, we're not allowing ourselves to grow into what the writing was asking us to grow into. So one of the techniques that I teach is when you write, to have a regular ritual of putting the writing aside. Kind of think of it as dough that you're mixing together and you're letting rise. So let's put that to the side and we'll move on to the second theme, which is to activate. And I want to read you another poem from This Is How Honey Runs. This is called Why Some Ideas Don't Work Out. I am trying to do a planting dance. With my arms, I announce with my whole heart, here I am. I am trying to do a planting. I want to avoid walking on my most vulnerable parts. I am trying to do. So I wave to everyone. Look at me, trying to fly, trying to get high. I am trying. I must take the seeds within and stamp them down with the soft space at my feet. I am. There must be seeds. They must be laid in the ground. What this poem is saying is that we have a lot of ideas. You just listed 10, and if I'd asked you to list 100, you probably could have. We have a lot of things that we're good at, and a lot of things that we enjoy doing, and you just journaled about some of those as well. But what happens is that we try with them. We wave our arms. We keep them all, and we don't slow down enough sometimes to choose one and plant it. So another thing, in addition to the guided journaling, that is a tool that I teach in the coaching and in the seminar, is mindfulness practices. What can help us slow down, what can help us be gentle with ourselves and others as we plant our creative seeds, is mindfulness. Mindfulness was transformational for me after I had a mini stroke a few years ago. I had horrible chronic pain. It was hard for me to sit most days, and my body was the last place that I wanted to be. Through the practices and principles of mindfulness, I learned that healing is possible when the first step you take is not to push away the pain, but accept it. We can connect this, if you think about it, we can connect this to what I was just talking about in terms of writing. If we move in our writing too quickly from first draft to editing and criticism, we lose the growth, the becoming that's going to happen as a result of having written. If we move all the time from our relationship with our bodies to a criticism of the body, not liking some aspect of it or pushing away the feelings that we have, then we are always in an adversarial relationship. both to our writing and to our bodies. So what mindfulness allows us to do is to slow down and let healing happen by not being in the struggle. So this is true for us when we want to activate our dreams to create. In the Feminar, we learn a new mindfulness principle each week, and we put it into practice during our weekly classes. Mindfulness, I have found, is a very important key to overcoming our fear about creating, because it teaches us that there's actually a softer way to move forward in our lives. So, like in the poem, we often think we have to push away any kind of doubt or try to find recognition from others in order to move forward. It could be a job, it could be a spouse, it could be the publishing world, whatever outside ourselves we're looking for recognition. Actually learning to trust our own deepest selves is the secret. Our journaling helps us do that, as does mindfulness. So let's return to the journaling and the list you did earlier. You won't have to share this next exercise, but as you look at what you just wrote, I want you to choose one thing to focus on right now, just for the rest of this workshop. You can put a star next to it, you can underline it, circle it. Just notice what comes up as you make this choice, and then make a choice. If you could create one thing, what would it be? Now sit with that. Whatever you're feeling right now is okay. Maybe you're thinking, oh, I wish I could choose two things. Maybe you're thinking, oh, I chose the wrong one. Maybe you're thinking, this is never going to happen. I don't even know why I'm here today. So let me repeat that because it's big. Where you are right now, what you're feeling in this very moment is perfectly fine. If you're excited, if you're nervous, if you have doubts, if you're sad that it's taken you this long to choose something for your life, that's okay too. In fact, the awareness of where you are sitting here right now, with my daughter's preschool teacher, Miss Debbie, used to call it double dip emotions. We have one flavor of sadness, one flavor of nervousness, one flavor of excitement. So maybe you've got triple dip emotions right now. Being aware, tasting those emotions is the magic doorknob that will open you to the empowerment that you seek. The key is to sit with the choice rather than struggle to achieve it. As long as you're struggling to achieve it, you're helping to create the relationship of separation between yourself and your desire. When you sit with it, it becomes a part of who you are. When we spend all our time struggling to make something happen, to improve the system, to better our circumstances, or even to fight injustice, we remain in a stance of struggle, and the struggle never ends. We cannot truly create. Think about it. Creating is creative. We cannot truly create in struggle because we are always fighting, which is destructive. Struggle is the opposite force from the force of creation. Let's do some journaling about this. And we'll do 1 minute for each. And again, we have 4. Let whatever comes out, come out. Let yourself enjoy the discovery. The first prompt is, I am. Good. And just finish whatever phrase you're writing. I feel. I feel. Good. Go ahead and finish that phrase. The next prompt is I am. I am. Good. Finish that phrase. And we'll write for 1 more minute. I wish. I wish. Good. We'll put our journals to the side. Again, with this repetition of this ritual, you'll learn to let the writing come and then let it go and not move into a critical stance with it. When you sign up for a one-on-one coaching session with me, you'll have the opportunity to go into more detail about where you are and how you can activate your own creative desires in your life. But for now, I want you to just know that accepting yourself and telling the truth to yourself, as you just did in this journaling, is the step to healing your past and activating your future. So we'll go to the third theme of today's workshop, which is to intergenerate. And I want to read you another poem from This Is How Honey Runs. It's called Bold, and it's a short poem. And before I do that, okay. Bold. Athena was not always bold. We want to think she was. We want to remember the owl, the victories, the wisdom. Nothing comes like this. The owl was an egg first. That sound you're hearing, the one your heart is making, that is your egg cracking. Athena is the ancient goddess of wisdom, who is known for her skills in politics as well as in creative domestic activities such as craft work. This connection between the domestic and the political is another aspect of the Feminar class, as each week we read and discuss essays by a diverse group of feminist writers who show us not only what it means to be bold, but also how to have the courage to be vulnerable so that our eggs can crack open. And in this way, we begin to intergenerate with those who have paved the paths before us. Often we feel alone on our journey because we don't let ourselves look back and feel the strength of the shoulders of those who have come before us. In the Feminar, I start with the writings of Audre Lorde, who is kind of a spiritual creative mentor to me. One of the lines that she says that I think is really important for women to hear is that your silence will not protect you. So often we remain silent out of fear, hoping that the silence will protect us. She also writes about difference as a creative power for women. And so I work really hard to make sure that the women that I work with are honored for their differences, whether it's race, class, nationality, gender, sexuality, region, language. The tagline of the Feminar is all the feminisms all the time. So whatever you see as your identity and your relationship to feminism, that is what the Feminar is. You received the 70 Body, Soul, Wisdom lessons from me. And what I'd like to do now is to give you an experience of the wisdom of those lessons for yourself in a very personal way. So what this means is that we'll experience a bit of mindfulness, but connecting it truly to the depth of how we are different, how each of us is only herself. So let yourself get into a comfortable position. What I'm going to do, if you'd like to turn your video off and you're on the computer, you can press that down at the bottom left of your screen. What I'm also going to do is turn my screen toward the window so that you're looking out my window and you don't have the sense that I'm watching you while we do this. So go ahead and let yourself get into a comfortable position. And take a deep breath in through your nose, and I want you to exhale through your mouth. Good. Do that a couple more times on your own. Good. And then just let your breath be graceful and natural, breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. And if you'd like, go ahead and put one hand on your lower belly. And notice how you breathe in and your belly rises. And you exhale and your belly falls. This belly breathing is very healing. It gives a signal to the autonomic nervous system that it's okay for the heartbeat to slow. As the belly rises on the inhale and falls on the exhale, our blood pressure lowers. And our muscles begin to relax and let go. And then imagine that a warm blanket is moving across your feet, and just become aware of the feelings in your feet as the blanket rises over your toes, the tops of your feet, the bottoms of your feet, your ankles, your shins and your calves, your knees, your thighs, your hips. Bring the blanket up over your belly and feel whatever you're feeling there. No need to label or criticize, nothing to change or judge. Move the blanket up across your waist, through your lower back and into your middle back. And then feel the blanket over your lungs and heart, chest, upper back, your shoulders and your arms. And then let your attention become a soft feather that you lightly sweep across your neck and face, your hairline and your scalp, and down the back of your neck. And let yourself simply enjoy being open and aware of the feelings in your body. We must trust ourselves to put our health and happiness first. There is no reason not to live with absolute joy. We were made to delight in every experience. Simply become aware to be reminded of the miracle of life. Everything lives in cycles, even the planet. even the stars. You are made of star stuff and are meant to shine. There are so many circumstances that came together to create you that the fact of your existence itself is a miracle. All pain is a sign of separation. All separation can be healed instantly through love. Look within yourself first for love. Then let this radiate out to others. Remember to love too all the plants and animals, elements and ecosystems who share the universe with you. Happiness comes and goes like sunlight. Joy is always present like air. Breathe deep to let the joy fully enter you. There is nothing you cannot do. Everything you do is what you choose. Everywhere, even the most desperate places, has a way through. The point is love. You don't have to do anything perfectly. As long as you are alive, you are capable of two things: healing and loving. You don't have to know everything. You are not a thing. We live in endless generosity, fueled by love. The least and the most we can do is say thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Begin to become aware of your breath, moving in and out of your body again. Let yourself wiggle your fingers and toes, bringing gentle movement into the body. When you're ready, begin to stretch and move gently. And we'll come back together now and turn to our journals one last time. Just with two short questions for 1 minute each. The first question is, what would you like to tell your younger self? What would you like to tell your younger self? Good. Finish the phrase that you're writing. And then our last question that we'll journal about today is, what do you want to know from your older self? What do you want to know from your older self? Good. Go ahead and finish the phrase that you're writing. And we'll put our journals to the side. You know that lesson by now. So as you can see from that journaling that we just did, there are generations of women inside you. And some of them also are the feminist writers that you'll meet in the Feminar if you decide to join our class. Some of these are women that you yourself are becoming. You are not who you were 10 years ago, and you're not who you will be in 10 years. My joy in teaching the Feminar is to help you make that becoming more joyful and fun. I'm going to finish with one last poem from This Is How Honey Runs. And it is the last poem in the book, and it's the title poem. This is how honey runs. This is my release. Be free. This is where the flower grows. This is what I know. This is as deep as it goes. These are not just words. When something blooms, it becomes. This is how honey runs. I am who I am becoming. Smiling is the opposite of frowning. How high can a dream fly? Your life can get higher yet. Your dreams are coming true. Swim in the water that comforts you. There are many shades of blue. Let yourself play. Who you are is what you are. There is nothing more to do. Be you. Be you. So what I'd like to do now is to encourage you to apply for a one-on-one session with me. You can do that by going to cassiepremosteel.com/application. It's a private link. Only people who are here at this webinar will get that invitation. So again, it's just my name, which is cassiepremosteel.com, and then /application. You can sign up to get a one-on-one 1-hour coaching session with me, which is $150 value. And what we're going to do is to go in more deeply to some of the things that we talked about today. I will also help guide you through that decision of what is the one thing you would like to create in your life right now. We'll do that through some intuitive readings and some discussion as well. And when you sign up for the one-on-one session, I'll also send you a free copy of my latest book, which is called Earth Joy Writing. It's a whole year filled with writing prompts and exercises in nature. So you'll get that book just for applying for the one-on-one session. After you fill out the application, I'll email you personally to let you know if we're a good fit, if we seem like a good fit, and we'll schedule that one-on-one session in the next few days. So it'll happen fairly quickly. Thank you for being here. If you are live on the call, feel free to stay with me. I'm going to go ahead and click off the recording for people who listen later. Thank you for listening later. And feel free in the next 24 hours to fill out the application if you'd like at CassiePremoSteele.com/application.